Likewise for those in junior levels, in fact, 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, what do you want to do? What are things you are passionate about? Start to build yourself now, such that by the time you are leaving medical school, you are well equipped to handle challenges and situations that people will be surprised. I remember we had an enemy at the enemy agent when they had the outreach. After the outreach, one of the enemy leaders was just commending me and all because of the way we were able to organize ourselves as medical students during the outreach, so that it was like we took charge of the whole process. And that is because over time we've been able to do it. In psychology, there's something called systematic desensitization. Over time, we've done it over and over again, so that we are now masters at it. Even though I'm a young person, but then there are some experiences that I've gained by virtue of leadership that I know that even some persons who are far older than me, they do not have that experience. And that is because leadership is not a function of your age. It doesn't respect your age or whatnot. It's a question of the experience, the information you've received, the guidance and mentorship that you've made yourself subject to. And I think that it is important that ILUMSITES maximize the opportunities that we have in LUMSA. There are various committees you can get involved in and learn. There are various networking avenues that you can make use of. Now we are even creating a solid footing for ILUMSA in NIMSA, in FAMSA. Maximize these opportunities also. And at the end of the day, we all become doctors. The question is, what kind of doctor do you want to be? Yes, thank you very much.
All right, Colossus, thank you for all you've said. Before I ask my last question, I would not want us to end this interview without highlighting some certain things. You know, we've been part of the executive. I've been able to see the process. I've been able to learn a lot. I've been able to see collaborations, and I've seen things done. I think ILUMSA will be expecting a brand new secretariat.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I just want us to look back one day and be able to actually highlight, okay, what are these new things now? So, in all we've said about, I want us to isolate them out. We have a new secretariat coming up. What else?
All right, thank you very much. Let me talk about the secretariat to start with, how it even came about. Now, one of the things I was able to do during the lockdown, the social media space is very instrumental in a lot of things. Then that's it. I think successive administrations too should work on maximizing the social media pages and the opportunities they afford. Now, after we had the Professor Mukolu ILUMSA Malaria lecture, where we had Professor Mukolu, who happens to be the technical director for the National Malaria Elimination Program, and we had the permanent secretary of Kwara State. We had a lot of dignitaries that attend that program. So after the program ended, I created a simple message about it, which I uploaded on various social media pages, my LinkedIn especially. So I went off. Then there was a particular day, sometimes in July, I was just scrolling through my LinkedIn page and I saw a message. I said, wow, this is wonderful. How can I help ILUMSA? So wow, I now looked at the person's name. Now, one thing I do is, anybody that knows me well, if I'm doing something at the point in time, I'm very obsessed with it. So I have the list of ILUMSA presidents in my mind. I know their names, their levels, where they are, their history. Some of them is just contacts that we do not exactly have. So when I saw this name, I knew it looked familiar, Dr. Femi Balogun. So I had to search for it now. We have a plaque sort of in the ILUMSA secretariat that has a list of these names. And also that this man was the 6th ILUMSA president. So I sent him a message on LinkedIn. I said, it's a great honor. At that point, I saw that he is now a senior director of medical education at King's College, London, a senior psychiatrist also. So we communicated. He was really impressed with the way I was communicating. And then I said, I would want to have a virtual meeting with him and alongside some members of my executive team, so that we can discuss with him how he can be of help to ILUMSA. So immediately I created a PowerPoint presentation, which did not take me so long. Then I had a presentation on the things we've been able to do so far as an administration, our collaborations with other faculties in the university, our increased influence nationally, And then he was so impressed. And then I also now listed some of the challenges we are facing as a body. The fact that what we have as a secretariat is just like a cabin, and then it's not even in a good shape. That was created when President Bernard Fatoi, that was as far back as 2012, 13 now. So he looked at it and said, okay, this is a project he wants to be invested in, and that he was going to support us. And so we began the process. We had to get a designer who helped us with the design. We had to create a team, and eventually we also signed a memorandum of understanding, and we are still in the process now of bringing the project to life. But what is certain is that sponsorship is set for the secretariat. Then also we were able to get a university prize for the best student in psychiatry, which moving forward will be a yearly award. We starting from next year also we got sponsorship of about 250,000 naira total for 5 ILUMSITES every year in the clinical classes, which will also start next year. Then in our Inspire LUMSA program this year, we'll be awarding our top 2 students from 100 to 600 level with a sum total of 300,000 naira, courtesy of the alumni class of 2009. Then also we have started implementing processes, making contacts to get a bus for LUMSA. We've had a series of meetings to that effect, and we are hopeful that in the not so distant future we would have something very positive. Then another beautiful thing we've been able to do is for the health week. Before now, like I stated, finances is a major problem, and because of how much we even have to suffer financially, we are now having a yearly scientific conference, which we have a fully sponsored program where LUMSITES will have the opportunity to present their research paper. Now let me even talk about the link to that. For the scientific conference, now it came about from us solidifying the LUMSA Research and Journal Club, courtesy of the leadership of Yusuf Tijani of the old 500 level class. So what we did with the Research and Journal Club was immense, because throughout the lockdown, the Journal Club was having virtual meetings every Saturday. We were really helped by Dr. Oluwatosin Akonde, and so I wanted us to have a scientific conference at the end of the administration, and that has not been done in a long time. So because of funding, obviously, it even had to be cancelled in 2019 due to lack of funds. But for this year now, we've gotten sponsorship for it every single year moving forward. Likewise, for our Inspire LUMSA also, we now have a sponsor for the program. And then for our health week this year, an approach that has worked for us is that we got individual sponsorship for various programs of the health week, and I am really pleased that that will be a lot helpful for our members. Then secondly, now we are also starting a fellow workers research prize in community health to the tune of 100,000 naira, which will also commence next year. The whole process has already been approved. What is next is just implementation, and that will commence from next year. Then also is the launch of there's the ILUMSA creative team, which I already talked about. We have a functioning chess club now. We have the ILUMSA Research and Journal Club, solid than it has ever been. Our editorials is working extremely hard. There's a lot of innovations that were never seen before. We had the ILUMSA presses during the lockdown that addressed the subject of repeating in medical school, which is very extremely important. Then we'll be having the med law this year on a more improved level, and we're able to get that courtesy of massive support from the Commissioner of Health for Kwara State. Alongside, should watch out for our med law this year. And then in the area of sports also, I mentioned the support that we'll be getting yearly from Dr. Ayo Olarinoye. And then for welfare also, we've done a lot, and we are still doing a lot for our members. Despite the financial limitations, we've still had to welfare our members doing every major exam in the LUMSA. Then the LUMSA Senate also had a constitution review this year to also now bring the changes that we've had to face in the past 2 years into the constitution, starting from now making provisions for virtual Senate meetings, reducing the dressing restrictions for Senate cities, because now clinical students, we are majorly in scrubs, and it is important that you cannot be sending out senators because they are not wearing suit and whatnot. So we've adjusted that also, and there's that new look to the constitution, because this year we'll be publishing the constitution, providing physical hard copies that will be distributed to members of the association, and on a lot of levels
A lot has been
we've
done.
done it.
And also one, the release of results too.
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's also important.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much for reminding me about that. Coming into our administration, the norm in medical school is that when you write a professional exam, you wait for a long period of time, sometimes as long as 2-3 months before the results are released. And then, if the results release is so delayed, the implication is that the receipt exams also cannot hold during that period. But during the course of our administration, we were able to ensure that results now are released on time. Take for example the 300 level MB result that was released within 2-3 weeks after the IMB, they had the result ready. The advantage is that for students who maybe are going to receipt, they start early preparation.
True.
And for those who are promoting, they also start to prepare before the official date of resumption. Likewise, for this 400 level MB result that was released recently, it took even less than 2 weeks, because many members of the class thought that the results came out on Monday. Meanwhile, it even came out on the 14th of October. Of October. Because when I called the provost to thank him for ensuring that the process continues, he told me that it was even after the meeting we had that the result was even released. Because now what we are looking forward to in the future is even ensuring that the results even are released earlier. Now there is a little bit of restriction to that, because after you write exams, before your viva, your results are ready. We all know that. The next step is that there will be a faculty sitting, after which there will be a college board sitting. After the college board sitting, they will move it to the university. So the delay now usually comes from the university senate. So if we're able to even navigate around that, we might see a future where you write your exam today, your result is ready within the next 2-3 days, as it obtains in some other medical schools. That's the future. Then another thing I even wanted to talk about, which I did not mention in terms of welfareism, is that I recall in 2019, for example, for our students in the clinical classes, because we know that there's no holiday, at least that used to be the case. So I think 400 level is 14 or so months, 500 level is 15 months or so. So usually when other BSc students, they are meant to leave the hostels, medical students would still be in their session, and the hostel managers would tell them that they have to also leave or they pay for the new session. I recall in 2019, for example, the medical students then they had to either pay for the remaining part of their academic program for that level, or they had to move in with their friends staying off campus. But for this year, in conjunction with the leadership of Dr. Alabi, we're able to ensure that for medical students, they stayed in the hostel. So now you have students who are still staying in the hostel when other students have left, but they were not paying any extra cost, which was, it's unprecedented in medical student history as far as I know, and that will become the norm moving forward, such that they are able to focus and complete their level without paying extra cost. And then when they now move, when they are done with their program, they can decide to either start afresh or leave for off campus. So that is one of, and that is the support that has been immense on a lot of levels, from the angle of our executive advisor, Professor Olaikon, Professor Lawal, to the provost of the College of Health Sciences, who he always listens to us. And I think one thing that has helped also is the level of relationship that we've built. I recall that when the pandemic was still on, and then we had to resume, ASU strike was over, virtual lectures was to start. We started an ILUMSA, like a virtual call desk, whereby we helped students set up their registration for the virtual class. Because remember at the time, Unilearn was using the Unilearn email.
Yes.
You had to get access. So we created like a virtual help desk, a WhatsApp platform where you join in, you state your problem. We had people on ground who were tech savvy. They handled the problems as they came on. Then when your issue is resolved, you leave the page and you leave the space for others to join. And that helped a lot of persons to register and commence virtual lectures at the time. Now, let me even state this. One thing I think also helped us with the virtual classes at the time was that during the lockdown, we established a working relationship with the Global Medical Education Collaborative, GMEC, yes, headed by Dr. Abraham Abioyi in the United Kingdom. The idea of GMEC is for students from low-income countries to have exposure to international lectures, network with people globally. And many of our students in clinical classes took that opportunity to have virtual lectures during that time, such that when we resumed, it was not so much different from what they were already enjoying by virtue of GMEC. And now I see ILUMSITES maximizing the GMEC platform such that the national rep for GMEC, as I speak, because they started with ILUMSA, then they now moved out to other yes, in the country and even beyond now. The national rep for Nigeria, that's Ademola Adeyemi, popular known as Skywalker, is an ILUMSITE. So that shows the level of impact we have had. Then talking about ILUMSITE serving on various platforms, currently the national media and publicity for NIMSA is an ILUMSITE national caucus chair. The Southwest NIMSA caucus chair is an ILUMSITE. It was an election we had around 1 a.m. or so that we emerged. Then various offices ILUMSITEs are operating. Then going back to that virtual, when we resumed now, the provost and I were communicating almost all the time. I'll call him 1 a.m., 12 a.m. We have to do this is not working, okay. What do we do? Creating solutions together such that for a particular pediatrics rotation, we know the norm in pediatrics is that if you do not make the 75% attendance, you cannot write your exams. But we were able to do it such that students were able to write exams without the 75% requirement. Because I told the provost that the virtual classes have not been exactly straightforward. So you cannot say that because a student has not been able to join, you don't know whether he has been able to afford data, or maybe he's not able to charge his phones. Yes. So he reasoned with me also, and he communicated same to the department, and they were extremely supportive, and students wrote exams without the limitation of the academic requirement, the attendance. Then even for our 200 level students also, I recall when they started, some called me that they were not having a lot of lectures. It was around 11 p.m. or so that the provost said I should talk to Dr. Omotosho, the HOD at that point in time. Now on the 200 level now, I think they are the ones in 300 level now. So I called him, we communicated. Sometimes some calls you have to make in the dead of the night. They are not people that you can talk to normally, even by virtue of your office. Then he listened to me and they started having their lectures also. Then one of the wings also, look at the way we're able to work around the issue of the calendar for our 200 level students. They were blowing up my phone that what do we do? It seemed like an impossible situation, but I think we enjoy a very positive working relationship with the College of Health Sciences, and I think that for successive administrations also, it is important that we solidify these relationships. That's the way we can grow as an association, as an administration, and as a body. And I think that we have already started the step towards that movement. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. President, you said a lot, and then
actually I've said a lot.
A lot, and then a lot to know, a lot to learn, and a lot to also look back on. I'm very sure one thing you'll be blessed with in the near future is memories.
Yes.
I think you have a lot there. You can sit down one day under a tree with a cup of wine and think. There are a lot. I'm very sure you also create more.
Yes.
As the future comes, and I think we too will also do that. Is there anything I did not ask you that you would like to mention?
First of all, I think we've already talked a lot, and even for medical students watching, I think we've spent close to 1 hour. So I believe we've exhausted the major subjects.
All right.
And I hope that ILUMSITES maximize the opportunity that ILUMSA has to offer, and I'm grateful for the opportunity they've given me to serve.
You know, it's a privilege to have the president of ILUMSA, the 39th president of ILUMSA,
yes,
on the ILUMSA Illuminate series. This is the last series, And also a period for me, Damilola Oladosu, to also be the one to actually take this interview. We thank all of you ILUMSITES for your support for the administration. We are really, really grateful. I'm going to wish upcoming administration the best as they continue to try their best to offer value to you ILUMSITES.
And cut.